Hi, my beautiful queens and kings. It is your one and only Queen Dish here. So happy Friday, my beautiful queens and kings. Happy Friday. I hope all of you are having a wonderful Friday wherever you are in the world. You know, I love you. The queen loves you. I tell you guys that all the time on this podcast, but you should know that it is genuine and from a place of love. But you guys are definitely in for a treat today. I have with me Queen Lakila and King Eric from
Oh,
Dope People Who.
there we go.
Yeah.
Yay. So just to give you a quick bio on them, they are the co-founders of Dope People Who, a relationship performance coaching company. Both of them have over 25 plus years of experience in performance management and people development. They're the creators of the online coaching program, Unleash Your Dopeness. They live an extraordinarily dope love affair and are committed to helping singles and couples experience healthy, happy, and whole Black love relationships. So,
Hey,
hey, hey,
Hey, yes,
hey.
yes, that's what it's
Thank
about.
you. Thank you guys for being on today. I'm very grateful and thankful to have you guys. And I just want to pretty much jump right in. I have some questions
Do
for
it.
both of you. I'm going to start with Queen, my queen.
All right.
So, you know, dating these days is quite the adventure. Um, and I'm constantly giving positive encouragement. Constantly trying to advise my queens on the importance of like self-love and self-respect. But what would you say women sort of need to do in order to attract love in 2021?
Ooh, that's a very good question. I like that. I like that. Now, for me, I was single a lot longer than I've been married. So Eric and I didn't meet until I was 34 years old. So I'm very well versed in singlehood and all the things that go on in that space and all the debauchery that comes along with it.
here we go.
Right. No, I would just say that it's just like anything that you want in your life. When it comes to manifesting what you want, you have to, really show up as the experience that you want to have. So, it's not necessarily about saying, I want to, have this man that I conform to or get married. It's about the experience that you want to have in this life. And what are the things that you need to be doing now in your current status to enjoy yourself and experience those feelings, right? Because a lot of times that's what it's about, is the feeling that you want to experience. You want to experience being loved, you got to love yourself. You want to experience being respected, you got to respect yourself. You've got to treat yourself really, really well. And that amplifies your light, which attracts light. So that's what brings into your space the things that resonate with what you want your experience on this earth to be like. And, and I know that's sometimes harder to live than it is to say, but that patience and that crafting and cultivating the experience that you want to have for yourself, it really does. It pays off with anybody, any relationship that you develop, whether that's an intimate relationship or friendship relationships.
Okay. So King Eric, I'll let you add your 2 cents to that. Go ahead.
As far as what women should do, or as far as men?
No, women. We'll staying on the women for a second.
Yeah.
In your opinion.
Yes, in my opinion, I also had a very spirited single life. Traveled the world, had a lot of relationships. I've been through being cheated on and also being a cheater at one point in my life when I was in my 20s. So I've had the full spectrum of dating, if you will, and experiences. One thing that's always resonated with me as a man is a woman who was always herself at all times. Like, I know that my greatness as a man will make some women step outside their boundaries and do more than they should. But I'm not asking for that. They just know that they can't do it naturally. So they'll do above and beyond, but it's outside of their parameters. So the first thing that I'll say to women out there is to always be yourself, always respect yourself, And if you're being pushed to an area that you don't feel comfortable, or that you know is not authentic to who you are, just don't do it. Always be yourself, because you'll attract that person that's for you when you're being your true self as a woman.
Okay. I agree. Good advice. And just take me back to that. How did you guys actually meet?
Yeah, so to make a long story short, or a dope story short, I'll say, we were in Miami and I was hosting a yacht party, a big old yacht too. I mean, like a 3-level yacht. It was me and my homeboys, and we had some women on the boat, but not the kind of women that I wanted to have on the boat, if you know what I mean.
Okay.
So I reached out to a friend of mine and I said, hey, I need some great chicks on here. And she reached out to Lakila, who then in turn said, hey, I will be there.
Yeah, I'll show up.
Okay.
And we didn't know each other. And my girlfriend that told me about it wasn't there. It wasn't going to be there either. So, but I know her, I trusted her, and I'm typically up for a good time. So I was like, run it. And you know, we get there, I get there, and he and I just naturally gravitated toward each other. We ended up having the best conversation while this boat is out on the water. And when it got back, so it was docked at the hotel, came back docked at the hotel, and Eric very directly let me know he wanted me to stay and keep hanging out. So we did continue to hang out. As the night got later, drinks are going, we're sitting by the hotel pool, and the game of truth or dare starts. And we got dared to skinny dip in the pool.
Yeah.
Which pretty much our lasting connection happens at that point. So it was a skinny dip of all skinny dips.
It went from like being a cool chick to being like, what's your name again?
Right, like,
Oh,
we should get to know
wow.
each other.
Let's figure it out.
Wow. Okay. I always like to hear the love stories. I really like to hear those. Okay. And so when did you guys get married?
We got married almost a year and a month after we met. Eric planned the most spectacular proposal a year after we met, and which I was completely surprised by. So surprised that he planned it so that it was on a boat as well, a sailboat. This is just the two of us this time. And we had an opportunity to skinny dip. But Eric's plans were to propose as the sun is going down. And I don't know this. So I'm like, let's skinny dip. I'm taking clothes off. Let's do it. And he's like,
Those are my plans all the way up. Messing everything up.
But it worked out perfectly. We did jump in the water. He rushed me out, which I didn't understand why, but I was like, okay, cool. And then it was the most magnificent proposal. And, you know, it was, for him to have been so thoughtful to plan everything in such detail the way that he did. I still, to this day, I think about that day almost every day. And we eloped a month later. So just the two of us, we went to St. Lucia, and we walked down the aisle in the sand together because we both believe that marriage is an experience for both people. You typically see the focus on brides and the women, but Eric is just as much a part of this marriage as I am. So we walked down the aisle together.
I'll step in right there.
Yeah.
So what I was about to say about the engagement is, you know, I've seen a bunch of dope engagements online, you know, where the man is doing all these elaborate things, and it's beautiful. I'm not hating on that. But what I've experienced is that men do a lot for the bride-to-be and don't take care of themselves either. So what I wanted to do was have the experience that I knew she would enjoy, but that I would love too. Like, I want to think back on that day and be like, that was an amazing day for me too. And everything that happened was organic and natural, and it flowed, and man, it was awesome.
I like that. That's different. I think they'll enjoy hearing that, because that's a different approach to take, and the fact that you made sure that you also you're going to be happy too. That's enlightening. Okay, I love it.
She was definitely number one now. She was number one, but I was a close number two. Like, what do I want to happen on that day? It was amazing.
I definitely like that. Okay. All right. So you guys said that you were both single for, a minute, and I'm single right now, but we ain't gonna talk about that. So what would you say, like, before you guys met each other, what space were you guys in mentally and emotionally before you came together? Because I think people sometimes, of course, are looking to just, fill the gap of loneliness, or they're bored, but I know the importance of being in the right space, so talk to me about the space you guys were both in before you got together.
Absolutely. So that is what you just said was clutch, being in the right space. So when Eric and I go back and dissect when we look at it and connect the dots of how we came together and why our union is so extraordinary, because it really is. It is because as individuals, we were whole. Like, we presented as whole people. He and I both, not knowing each other, traveling separate paths, we did a lot of personal development, a lot of self-development. We had very high senses of self-worth. And that's come through experience, exposure, therapy. We both had participated in therapy, various kinds of therapy throughout the years. I mean, I've done everything from traditional therapy to Reiki therapy, energy work, things
sound
like that.
bath.
Yeah, love the sound bath. But there was a lot of, we had a very strong commitment to self-care routines. So at the point that he and I met, there really was no baggage there, because we'd already, dealt with a lot of things. And not that we hadn't had like trials and tribulations in the past with previous relationships, but instead of looking at those relationships like failures, we both had a very, very common perspective that those were lessons for us to learn, something to take away and utilize to our benefit going forward. I've learned a ton from my past experiences, and Eric sharing those experiences with me once we got together. So we were both in very good spaces.
Yeah, so everything you just said, I'll add to that when I had those heartbreaks, when I went through the tough relationships that didn't end the way that I wanted to, instead of me, going into a corner and, crying myself to sleep every night, because first of all, men also have feelings, by the way. Men also have all the emotion, all the feelings. They don't express that. They suppress everything. We suppress everything as men, but it's still there. So I felt a lot of hurt, but instead of me, harping on it for too long, I told myself, look, I'm going to bounce back from this and be a better person. I'm going to bounce back and be a better version of myself. So every relationship I had, because I was more of a serial monogamist, so I would have the 1-year relationship, then be single for a year, 3-year relationship, etc. So for me, every time I bounced back, I went from this level, Eric, to that level. And sometimes, to my wife's point, when I experienced hurt, therapy had to happen. I mean, talking to your mama and them, talking to your homeboys and homegirls, that's cool too, but man, nothing like therapy and coaching. So that made me into the man that I am right now, because it highlighted the things that I was not doing well for the person I was dating, and also for myself. So it was amazing.
Yeah, and that's so important. People investing in themselves, personal growth, personal development. I think there's almost this negative connotation or perspective when it comes to therapy. What do you say to people that are kind of afraid, or they feel they'll be judged or looked down upon? Like, what would your advice be to them?
So this one we encounter a lot. Obviously, therapy has a negative stigma in the Black community, but I will see the tide is changing on that. I'm hearing a lot more open conversation when people are like, girl, I just saw my therapist last week, or do you have a good therapist? And we're sharing resources. So it's starting to change. But we look at it like this. If you want to get in shape, right, it's pretty commonplace to go get a trainer who knows the best practices to show you so that you can reach your goals. If you want to excel in your career and entrepreneurship, you go out and you get a mentor, someone who's done it before, someone who's been successful at it. It's the same way when it comes to our relationships and our mental and emotional wellness. We don't often have the resources within us to get ourselves to that next level, or maybe get past that past hurt that we experienced before. And those resources are there and available for us to take advantage of. We just have to be open and receptive to do it. So I love that some of the walls of stigma are coming down. We're coaches, and that has a lane. We work with people on their relationship performance and showing up as their best selves, getting them into those, teaching them how to have those healthy and fun relationships. We work with singles, we work with couples, but we always incorporate that they should include therapy where it's appropriate also, because that also has a space. And a therapist or coach, they're both trained to help you transform. And that's really what you're looking for. And that your friends, as Eric mentioned, your friends, your girlfriend, your mama and them, they ain't trained, right? And they're oftentimes not partial either. They're like, you did that, do this. Meanwhile, they got a raggedy relationship. So, let's get this impartial person that's trained to help us navigate those spaces better. So.
And for the men especially, what would you say for the men especially?
For the men, I would say man up and go to therapy. I mean, we do everything else as men. We can build a house. We'll go to the gun range and shoot all this ammo up, and we'll do all these manly things, but we're always viewing therapy as a negative or weak thing. So that's one of the things I'm trying to do right now that I have been doing for the past 3 years is teaching young men, older men, my peers, coworkers, or whatever. We all need this, and it's not a bad thing. So even if they don't want to step into the office of a therapist, they can give me a call, have a one-on-one with me, and I can talk to them straight up like a black man to a black man would. Yes. So it's needed. Men, it is needed, trust me. Even just to chop it up, like things don't have to be going bad in your life for you to seek out coaching and or therapy. Yes. It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be the worst thing happening. It can be a random Friday. You just want to have a conversation about what's going on with you. So
yeah, I mean, to that point, you make a very good point there, baby.
Of course I do.
Of course you do. You make a lot of good points. And you have to. But you know, when Eric just mentioned about the frequency of therapy or even of coaching, a lot of times we want to wait till we're in crisis, right? To say, I need some help. But we can often prevent ever getting anywhere near a state of crisis if we're using therapy and coaching from a preventative standpoint. Like, let me just stay good. How do I keep, you know, I feel good right now. I want to stay here. How do I do that? Well, you infuse therapy, and then the frequency that you go and you participate, that can vary, but we don't have to wait until we get to crisis. Now, if you are, that's okay. Call in the reserves, call in the resources that you need. And then also for our couples, a lot of times what we coach them is, you know, if you've used therapy to kind of get past a rough patch, keep a regular dose of continuous involvement, because that's how you stay good and you keep from going backward and regressing.
Yeah. Okay, great. And so your company, Unleash Your Dopeness, or your program, talk to me a little bit about that. You know, how did you guys come up with the title for it? You know, what made you guys want to actually get into this space, to this arena?
Absolutely. So like we said, we are living an extraordinarily dope love affair. Like, we are having the best. This is my best friend. Yeah. We are having such a good time with each other. We turn up. We're business partners. We're just, you know, it's phenomenal. So we wanted to help other Black singles and couples have similar experiences that resonate with them. The problem is that popular media, you know, TV, music, all those things is telling us, especially as Black people, that our love is not valid. It's always constantly invalidating us. You're always seeing these struggle love, as we call them, struggle love relationships. There's way too many examples of that, right? When that's not it's not a fair picture of Black love, right? It absolutely can be healthy. It can be fun. It doesn't have to be. One of the things that we hate is hearing relationships are hard work. They don't have to be. They can be, but they don't have to be. So our passion for creating Dope People Who came from that, because we wanted to provide the guidance that helps people experience those healthy and wildly fun relationships. And then Unleash Your Dopeness, our coaching program, came about because every single person is dope. Everybody their insides, just as they are, they're dope already. We want to help amplify that dopeness. Yes. So that they can experience those wildly healthy and fun relationships. Because it's lit over here. Like, we are having the best time. So we want more people on this side.
Right. I hear that.
Yeah, I mean, on top of that, to echo that, we also had already been doing this business before it was a business.
That's true.
Okay.
As soon as we joined forces, everybody was like, tell us about this. How do you make it work? How do you deal with conflicts? How do you keep everything sexy and spice it up? I mean, we had all these inquiries, and I was just like, okay, I'm spending 2 hours a day talking to my homeboys and homegirls and cousins and them about how we handle our relationship. So let's go ahead and make it official too. So
yeah, there's definitely a want and a desire, the resources, and when you have access to resources, that's when change can happen. So we said, you know what, be the change.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So we created Dope People Who.
Okay, great. So, you know, of course, before we end, I want you to tell them how they can connect with you. But I have a couple of questions for King Eric, for the men here.
Let's do
it. So I want to know, what are your thoughts on the fact that there are some businessmen, okay, and I have been witness to this too, businessmen that are, they're leaders, So they have the leadership skills. They may even have received community awards, business awards. So they're great in business, but they suck at relationships. What are your thoughts on that? Because I can't say it was me, but of course I'm the ear that had to hear it. So I thought it was interesting to see how someone is so successful in their business, but like he can't get it together in the relationship. So I'm just curious from a man's perspective, what are your thoughts on that?
Thoughts on why he might be that way, or thoughts on how to remedy that mind state?
The latter.
Okay, how a man in leadership can fix not prioritizing relationships. It's just that he does not see relationships as a priority, just like he sees his money, his vehicles, his status. So the first thing that he has to do is, take a step back, one step back. All right. One thing that we as men don't do is focus on our inner selves. Okay. We never sit down and say, okay, Eric, what do you want? Man, what do you want? What are your needs? And it's easy for a man to say, okay, I want these things. I want these material things. Or I want to have a girl with a big old booty. But we never dive deeper within our actual needs. And that's why a lot of men out here are married and still cheating, because they think they found the one for them, but they have so many things that have not been fulfilled in that relationship. So the first thing that type of man must do is be honest with himself, sit down with himself, have quiet space and quiet time, and really just dive deep into his actual needs and wants, okay? The next thing he has to do is prioritize that entire list, okay? If he keeps putting business above love, that woman dealing with that man will never find happiness. That's the bottom line. Because no woman can compete with a man who's trying to hustle nonstop. There has to be balance. And I'm also a big time hustler. I get it. Made plenty of money, understand that money is very important to me. But I would never put money above my woman.
Above the queen, you better not.
I would never do that. So that man has to make a decision to prioritize love over business. Now, having said that, women, you cannot make that man make you a priority over his business. You just cannot do it. He has to make that choice for himself. If he doesn't do it, do not waste your time, okay?
Yes.
Express how you feel, express your needs and wants as a woman. Do not be afraid. Always say exactly what you need. If you don't, you'll be stepped on one way or another.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Your needs.
Yeah, and I do want to interject one point here. Eric does prioritize me. And because he's made me a priority, we make a lot of money together.
Exactly.
So for the brother that's missing the point, like you're missing, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. So this teamwork, making the dream work thing is real.
Yes.
So there's a missed opportunity when that's not realized.
Men, especially black men, our black women are smart as hell, my brother. They're super smart. I mean, they're starting more businesses. They're making more money than us in some areas. Like, they are on it. So why not incorporate them into what you're trying to accomplish? Man, good point.
Right. So then, Queen, okay. Talk to me, because I know that and I'm sure you have friends or you have experienced this, for the entrepreneurial woman. And honestly, she doesn't even have to be an entrepreneur, but that notion of a woman having high standards, or her standards are too high. What do you say to that? Because we all know that you need to have someone who's in alignment with you and sort of shares the same values. So do you feel like, a woman needs to tweak her standards, or, does she need to just stick to her standards and expect the best from God?
So I don't believe in settling. And that's why I love the name of your podcast. I don't believe in settling. But to Eric's point, I think that if just women the same way, we have to prioritize what's important to us. What are our must-haves? What are the things that resonate with our authentic selves and the experiences that make us whole? Those are the things you should not ever compromise. Mm-hmm. Now, if someone can come in and complement those things, great. And he might not be as tall as you expected. He might not make as much money as you expect. I love your wife. That is perfect.
I'm not 6 feet, damn it.
And, I mean,
Right.
it might not come exactly wrapped in a specific package that you might have thought that it would, but the experience that you want to have, someone who actively listens to you, someone who only has eyes for you, if that's what you want. Because if you're into swinging, you should have that too, if that's your thing. But whatever your thing is, right? Like, I don't believe in compromising the things that are core to you, because then you start compromising yourself. And it's hard to get those parts back once you compromise them. Right before Eric came into my life, I had written down a list of what I called his attributes. And it was things that I knew that for me, I needed to have in my next partner. Friendship was paramount, active listener, world traveler, someone who was balanced in time, how he spent his time, and his money, right? And Eric was every single thing on that list and more. I was absolutely unwilling. When I wrote the list, I met other guys, and I could say, they don't meet those parameters, those certain parameters. Maybe I spent time, but I wasn't invested beyond a certain point. Eric came in and was very clear, because I was very clear about what I wanted, what I had to have, and what I wouldn't deal with or what I wouldn't sacrifice. So it made this whole our whole meeting flow so seamlessly.
So
yeah.
So what I'm hearing is definitely that both women and men definitely need to be clear. Like, you need to know what you want. You definitely need to be whole. Sort of have a life. Have a life that you like or that you love before that person comes. So it's not necessarily coming from that space of just trying to fill a void. Just.
If you think about it, who wants to go to a whack ass party? And if you're living your life like a whack ass party, why should someone else want to be involved in that? Now, if you're living your life and you're enjoying yourself, whether it's just your company or whomever, you're showing up, you're having a good time, of course people are going to want to be a part of that, including intimate partners. So focus on the enjoyment of your experience, regardless of what you have or don't have. And that goes for career, that goes for money. And, not surprisingly, people who are living in their fulfillment that is defined by them often have all of those things. They have the careers that they want. They have the friendship relationships that they want. And their intimate relationship experiences are typically positive. So, you have to really live in that space, like show up in that way every day for yourself without concern for whoever else may encounter you, because you have to understand that you're going to bring those things into your space.
And do you want to add to that?
No, actually I don't. That was great. I have nothing more to add.
Okay.
I will add one point to your previous statement.
Sure.
As far as like how we met and how you knew that I hit that list and everything.
Yeah.
So a message to all the men out there. For me, I knew my power. I knew my strength, because I dated so much. I knew exactly what I brought to the table. I knew my strengths, my weaknesses, although it's only a few. I knew them, okay? So when you know your power, make sure that you understand how to articulate that power to your newfound mate. Mm-hmm. Like when I first met Lakila, I was like, look, we're having fun right now. Everything is cool, but look, you're going to love me in about a month, okay? Because I am that dude. I know I am. I'm confident. I have all these things that I worked on myself. So, we can take it slow, do what we got to do, but just know you're going to fall for me very quickly. And she was like, whatever.
He did say that, and it was true. And we didn't take it slow because it was so good to me.
So use that power for good. There have been times in my life, like I said, where I've used that power for malarkey. Yeah. So that comes with growth too. Like I hated to see a hurt woman. You know what I'm saying? So that drove me to be more like, okay, let me harness this power and use it towards the one I'm supposed to be with. So if you have power, use it right.
So some people, I've heard some people say that, a marriage per se is the equivalent of like a business partnership. And while I agree to an extent with that, my thought process is I wouldn't want someone necessarily going out looking for a business partner, because what you would be looking for in a business partner might not be the same, in your life partner. So what do you guys think with that concept of, marriage is a business partnership? but how should you kind of look at it? What angle would you say people should look at it from?
Well, first things first, if you are married, um, don't force business upon your partner, okay? Everything should be a very organic, flowing type of situation. If you guys have things that you want to work on together, then go ahead and do that. But it should be a very natural, flowing thing.
Yeah, I wouldn't say, because if you think about the principles, at least in the United States, when we think about business, it's shrewd, it's cutthroat, it's running efficiently, meaning that there are things that you go without that might be crucial and critical to that business.
There's always one boss.
It's always one boss. And it's typically about the bottom line, right? When, you're having, in a relationship, you're having a human emotional experience. And if it's always about the bottom line, you might miss something in that experience. You might do some damage to the other person because you're only focused on that bottom line. I wouldn't agree at all. Now you can have, you can incorporate structure and organization. A lot of what we coach our couples to do is to have defined times that you sit down and you talk, and you have spaces of vulnerability. You have, you make sure that you're incorporating time to connect with each other. And you can do that in a planned and organized way from a business perspective. You absolutely should be talking about your money and about how you are going to create wealth together with one another. If there's some things that you need to clean up to get there, or if you're both arriving in a good space, and how you're going to make your wealth grow. So there are similar conversations. There are similar thought patterns and behavioral characteristics between a business relationship and a marriage, but I would never suggest approaching a marriage like a business from the standpoint of your heart and how you show up and you feel in that relationship. So, but you do want to be clear about things. You do want to have your paperwork in order from like life insurance and stuff like that's imperative. But just treating it like a business feels cold.
Yes. I concur. I totally agree with that. Like I said, to the extent I get what they meant by that, but I didn't agree with kind of looking at it like that, because I'm like, that's not your business partner. That's your husband. That's your wife. Like you can't really equate the two like that. It doesn't work like that. And I'm not married, but I don't have to be married to know that.
Exactly. It's what you want to, and I think that probably comes from the fact that the divorce rate is so high, right? Yes. And getting out of a marriage is a lot more complex than there is getting in.
That's definitely a business.
Right. That part is business. That gets real businessy real fast. So that is why Eric and I focus on the things that we do to prepare ourselves to have a healthy, whole relationship. Yes. That doesn't go that route and need to be dismantled, right? It starts off from these places where you're fully transparent, where you're showing up as your authentic self, where there's, very, very solid communication. And not to say that there may not be bumps in the road, but you're not treating it as something that's easy to disregard. Okay. You're treating it as something that you want to go the distance.
Okay. Great. Well, we're going to wind down here. But I definitely want to know from each of you individually. We're in 2021, and again, we know the dating landscape is quite the adventure, but we definitely don't want people to give up hope. I'm a beacon of love, a beacon of light, optimism, and so naturally, your belief plays a role in everything. And if you don't believe that you can attract love, you're not going to attract it, right? So 2021, regardless of everything that is going on in the world, just in general, for both the queens and the kings, what is your last piece of advice for a woman and a man, that wants to find love and find the right person? What is your last piece of advice to her and then you to him?
So my last piece of advice is to join our coaching program, Unleash Your Dopeness. Because, straight up, you mentioned optimism, you mentioned mindset. You absolutely have to believe, but you also a lot of times need the tools and resources to get there. This program is packed with the guidance and anecdotes and direction that it takes to get there. It's something that I wish that I knew existed, in my single life, where I feel like I wouldn't have had to, the stumbles that I did take, I wouldn't have had to go through those things had I had a bit more guidance. around to pair with my belief. Because I always believed, I was always very optimistic about my opportunities, and that I would, meet someone that was aligned with me. But we can manifest those things more quickly if we're utilizing our resources as well. It's not just about sitting and believe, it is also about acting. So,
True.
Yeah.
I agree with that 100%. So yes, do that, dog. Do that. I will also say for the men out there that wherever you stand at right now, you are enough. Okay, you are enough. You are capable, and also know and believe that there's this man inside of you you have not tapped into yet. There is a major portion of yourself that is dying to come out and to be just an amazing or more amazing version of yourself. It's definitely there. So don't be afraid to tap into it. Don't be afraid to seek help. Don't be afraid to express yourself and feel like you're going to look weak. Look, we as men are strong. We are also emotional. Tap into that emotion and it'll make you a stronger man.
Yeah, you achieve that.
Oh, yes, honey. Yes, I agree with that. I said, you guys are more emotional than women, but we're not conditioned to believe that. But I was like, no, they're worse than we are.
They are, because the emotions are all pent up. We get to express ours.
I know, right? Because then that manifests into anger and all these other different things, right?
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Exactly. Okay. So quickly tell us about Unleash Your Dopeness. Like someone who is coming to you, what can they expect? Just a little brief synopsis of the program and maybe what they can expect working with you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. So Unleash Your Dopeness it's a phenomenal self-paced online course, and they get group coaching time with us as well. And the course really takes you through a series of modules that end in transformation. So we're starting with you. We're focusing on you, mindset, getting you to a place where you have some unshakable self-care routines, where you know exactly what it is that you want. You've got to define those things for yourself first. And then it transitions into mastering relationships and how you should approach, based on your own parameters, the person or people that you want to have around you and in your life and be in relationships with. And for those folks that are already in relationships, it focuses on how to enhance those existing relationships. And then we also infuse a ton of fun in there, because a lot of times relationships after a period of time get the connotation that they're boring or that they become a bore. Relationships should be sexy and fun as fuck. That's how we feel.
Yes.
So that is very much a part of the course. It's a great time. There's homework, there's activities, things for you to do, to take away, and they're all easily implementable. They're rooted in behavioral change and performance improvement, because that's how we bridge the gap. It's not just, aspirational, motivational quotes, because that doesn't get us anywhere. You've got to be inspired, but then you've also got to be empowered, and we bring those tools together in Unleash Your Dopeness.
Agreed. And I'll add to that. One great thing about our course is that we also have a call every single Wednesday where you can ask us questions, get feedback on what you're thinking about. And also, as you're matriculating through each module, you can say, hey, in module 1, this concept came up. Explain more about that. And we have that one-on-one time with them. And also, as an added bonus, we have a live session with everybody that signs up. So we sit down with each client, each person, for an hour, and we talk about what they're going through and give them direct advice from us as well.
Yeah. Another thing we were very intentional about was community, because you're not going through this thing in a bubble, and you shouldn't be. Like we said, you want to go fast, go alone, you want to go far, go together. So we've curated the Dope People Who tribe. It's other people who are on the same journey, who are also looking to elevate and have these relationships that are nothing like the norm, that are accelerated, advanced, high vibe relationships. So there's learning that happens there. That just comes very naturally from the community that we curated. So it's the program, it's the coaching, it's the tribe, it's fun, and we're always throwing in some new bonus.
Exactly.
You're always going to get more from the Bowdens than you signed up for. So
okay, great. So I think my tribe, I already posted on my social media. They have a link for a limited special time offer. Is that right?
Yes, exactly. So we're running a friends and family discount. Get on it. You can get in for that discount now. If you got Queen Deisha's link, use that. We wanted to make this accessible, because Eric and I, through Dope People Who, have a massive transformative purpose. And that purpose is to empower over 100,000 other wildly healthy and fun Black love relationships. So we make sure to make this program accessible so that we can get to that goal and grow even beyond that.
Absolutely. Well, we definitely thank you. So to all of my queens and kings listening, you've heard it from the one and only Queen Lakila and King Eric of DopePeopleWho. They have this great program. It sounds like to me the intention is authentic, it's genuine. They want to help people unleash your dopeness. I mean, hell, I'm dope AF, hello, I'm queen. So I love the title. Just like you love the title, I love the title because I'm dope AF too. So, you have my queens and kings. I know this is on the podcast. So go to my social media and the link is on there for them. But how else can they get in contact with you guys?
Yes, go to DopePeopleWho.com, or on Instagram, it's also at DopePeopleWho. And also on Facebook, it's also at DopePeopleWho. Yeah. And there's a link inside the bio on Instagram as well. It goes to our website, so you can find us there.
We made it really, really easy. You can also email us, DopePeopleWho@DopePeopleWho.com. So
everything dope.
Everything dope. We just, we dope. So we kept it all dope.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Well, I am so grateful and thankful that you guys were able to spend some time with me today. Queens, kings, I'm all for it. I'm all for the high vibe. I'm all for, genuine, authentic, real love. And I think people can really have that. I think people, of course, have to do the work on themselves. They have to do the inner work and fix what they need to fix and, go through that healing process. I know a lot of people stem away from that, but we talked about the stigmas around that. And you heard both of them talk about, the importance of having a therapist or going, seeking that information and utilizing the resources. So, don't be afraid. My queens and my kings, you heard it from them. Like, don't be afraid to seek out what you need, because of course you can absolutely attract love in 2021. So I allow any final remarks?
Yeah, we just in 2021 we have to really lean on our community, right, on each other, because there's a lot of crazy stuff going on. 2020 was nuts. If nothing else, it showed us that we need to be more connected than ever. And one of the things that we always promote is that we are encouraging everyone to surround themselves with dope people who inspire you to be your best self at all times. So,
Amen. Yes, whatever you have seen yourself doing, whatever that dream has been for you, that vision for yourself, just go do it. Attack it. Like, time waits for no man or no woman. So whatever your dream is, start it right now.
Take that little step.
Take small steps, but you'll make it. You'll get there.
You'll add up.
Trust me.
I love it. Well, thank you guys so much. Take that leap of faith, take that next step, and unleash your dopeness. I love it. I thank you guys so much for coming on. Queens Don't Settle, King Eric and Queen Lakila. And listen, you guys go to the website and you'll see the link on the podcast. On my social media, you'll see my link for that. Again, it's a limited time, but they put a great package and offer together for you guys. But don't forget, do not forget. They are here for you. Okay, they are here for you. It is pure. You guys know, my tribe knows I'm all about authenticity and being genuine. Okay, and that's what I feel from them. They are dope AF. Okay, the program is Unleash Your Dopeness. All right, so I want to thank you guys again. Many blessings to you, and I can't really say Happy New Year, but Happy 2021 in general. Okay,
there it is.
Thank you guys
so
much
for having us.